Okay, thanks everybody for being here on a FirstHome IQ Impact Masterclass. We are so excited to have Cindy Ertman. We talked about the topic for a little while back, and I just think the timing is perfect. We're going to be talking about goal setting and kind of planning, and I know I'm ready to take notes and really think more about the next year. So I'm super excited for everybody who's going to be here. So I just want to introduce first FirstHome IQ. If you guys are new to FirstHome IQ, we are a nonprofit focused on financial literacy for the next generation. And we have an ambassador program that is providing first-time homebuyer resources for loan officers to better connect with the next generation. So definitely check that out, firsthomiq.com/ambassador, if you're interested in learning more about how to be involved there. And also, if it's giving back season. So if you're interested in giving back to the nonprofit work we do, we provide free resources to schools and again, to the next generation to help improve financial literacy. So you can check out our website to find more information about that. And I'll drop the link in chat as well. So without further ado, I wanted to have Dave introduce Cindy because I know Dave has been a longtime close friend of Cindy's, and so I'm going to pass it over to you, Dave, to make that introduction.
All right. And I do want to add a little on to FirstHome IQs. Not only do we help schools, we help your database. We help you guys both create impact, and I would push everybody as you're setting goals for the new year, like what is the impact you want to make? And obviously the income. I mean, I think it's pretty standard that, hey, we've got income goals and Cindy's going to walk you through a process that's going to be pretty special, but what's your impact? What's your income? And do check out the links that Kristen shared. So,
and we have a new merch store. So
oh,
check out the merch that we have in our new store too.
Oh, and my favorite, we have shirts and mugs. Be the change.
Love that.
So yeah, that's gonna be my code word for next year is be the change. I'll be saying that to myself like daily. All right. So I've known Cindy, it seems like my entire career in mortgage. She's just an incredible human being. She is once upon a time was one of America's most successful mortgage professionals. And I'm not just saying most successful mortgage women, truly one of the most successful originators in the history of the industry. Before doing $200 million in volume was like a thing, Cindy Ertman was one of the first loan officers to do that. She's just a complete role model. Since then, she's become the leader of a mortgage company. She's been a head of production. She's had every seat in the bus. She's at a point in her career where it's about coaching. It's about giving back. I mean, she truly loves to just lean into people. She loves to have personal connections with people. Has a very uncommon connection of both heart and mind. You guys will feel Cindy's heart, and she's got a great coaching program. And she agreed to some of the things that she does. She charges a lot of money for. She's a keynote speaker. She's going to give us. She's going to walk us through a training process. And it's just truly an honor to have Cindy Ertman on here. Please pay attention, like turn off your mobile phones, jump on camera if you want. These little reactions down at the bottom, you see that little heart? Since we're not in a live audience, I would make you all stand up and give Cindy a standing ovation. But since I can't do that, give us some emojis, use that reaction button. And guys, let's give it for Cindy Ertman. Let's go.
Thank you, Dave. It's such a pleasure to be here. And as you guys all know, Dave is such an incredible, inspirational leader in our industry. So hats off. I don't know anyone that has done more for our industry than Dave Savage. And I feel incredibly blessed to have you, such a dear friend, really a brother in my life at this stage. So great to be with you. And thank you, Kristen, for reaching out and having me part of this. I think the mission for FirstHome IQ is so important and so powerful. And I think it's not only such a great way to give back, but it's also such a great way to make change in our industry and to pass your wisdom on to the next generation. So hats off to creating this and really putting forth the effort to make change around financial literacy. It's not talked about or focused on enough. So I think it's a great opportunity for all of you that are paying attention to this. So today I really wanted to dive deep into not just goal planning, but as a mortgage coach for the last 12 years. I've been a mortgage coach for the last 30 years because I ran a company. I coached nationally for Loan Toolbox for 17 years. But the reality is watching
Oh,
what
I
we've
just lost you. Hold
gone
on.
through as an interest,
Yep, I got you now.
we got to mute somebody here. Thanks,
And,
Chris.
and Kristen, make me a co-host just so we can do that together.
Perfect. But I just, with what's gone on in the industry the last couple of years, I'm just amazed. It is literally daily that I'm having a conversation. I had a conversation yesterday with a 27-year veteran in our industry, right? Mortgage leader, runs a branch, and his business has dropped so dramatically that he doesn't even really know what it's actually occurred. I mean, obviously the market's off, but the reality is now he's like left with 27 years in this industry. Half my referral partners have retired or left the industry. How do I go back and rebuild? And this is what I'm hearing almost on a daily basis. And the number one challenge that is stopping people is this, right? I mean, we're our own worst enemies. So I'm going to jump in here and share screen. And if one of you could give me a heads up just to make sure you can see this properly. Let me get back to beginning.
We see it.
All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and just get started. And please, I want you to realize that if we have time at the end, if there's any questions, also I'll give you my email address just so if you've got any questions that you want to ask, because this is for you. And we want to make sure, I do want you to take notes because I want you to feel really empowered as to how to really create a plan going forward. And I'll dive deeper into why I think that is so important. So for some of you that really don't know much about me and my background, I did have, just such an amazing career as a mortgage originator. I still love this business fiercely. I say it's not, what I do, it's who I am. But I was, super, super blessed to be named one of the top 100 most influential mortgage executives in America for 5 years in a row. Led an incredible branch with my partner for well over 20 years. Our branch, we had a 1.2 billion. I've funded just under 3 billion in mortgages in my career, and just have had this really, really blessed career. And what I realized early on is that I really was focused on helping people and serving in a bigger way. And what I realized is the more people I served, the more successful I became. So it was beneficial on both sides. And then my passion really had, running a large branch in a region in Southern California, was spending a lot of my time coaching, teaching, training, not only our originators, but our branch managers around leadership. So I launched my own coaching and training company about 11 years ago. And fortunately, I built it and it came, and I get to coach originators across the nation daily. My biggest success is really this group of people you see on the screen, which are my 3 children, daughter-in-law, and there's a new baby in the family now. So that was really my why of why I really wanted to be successful, because I wanted my kids to have a better, more successful life than I did growing up. And I worked really hard to create that. So as you all know, we have faced and continue to face really big challenges in our industry. Like, we know there's still a lot of fear and uncertainty in the world. We know that what I hear constantly is I'm not fulfilled by this business anymore. For people that have been in it for a long time, they're feeling burnt out. They're just feeling mentally challenged, like they don't have the fight left in them. So we really want to work to get those spirits turned around and that mindset shifted. There's a lot of stress and anxiety because loans are harder today. It's a little more difficult, right? And we're dealing with different kinds of borrower challenges, and they have a lot of fear around making this decision to go into home ownership. Staying positive is a huge issue. Building referral partners has gotten tougher, or at least the perceived nature that it's tougher. I actually think it's easier. We just have to do the work to create it, and we'll talk about that. Financial uncertainty is still big. Staying focused. I ask people constantly, how do you feel your productivity of your day goes? And they're like, it's a disaster. I'm in my files all day. I'm not focused. I'm not focused on income and relational activities. And then, lack of lead flow. How do I really generate more leads? And then, of course, how do you manage those leads when they come in the door? I want you to think about, as we get into this, is that if business really did turn around, as it is predicted to do as we get into 2025, there is a little more confidence in the marketplace now. Are you prepared for that? Because one of the biggest challenges for me as a mortgage coach in 2020 was watching the amount of leads fly through like a sieve, because the reality is people weren't trained to manage their lead flow. So really you got to look at, we'll get into the gaps in your business, but we want to make sure that you've got a system that really captures those leads so you can manage them properly. You know, many are just exhausted and burned out, and there's a lack of motivation and a huge lack of confidence. Even with some of our mortgage originators have been doing this for nearly 30 years, it has really rattled confidence, even for some of the nation's top producers. And it's just very real. So today I'm going to dive into 3 different areas here. We're going to talk about how do you really create a bulletproof mindset, right? It's one thing to talk about, you got to have a strong mindset, but how do you really do it? Because I have to focus on it as well. I'm pouring into people all day long. I can't do that unless I'm pouring into myself first. And I really do believe it's an important part of anybody that wants to be successful, really in any industry, but certainly in ours. And then how do you really create a successful vision for your business and your future? We talk about goal planning, but very few people really think about their future vision. What do you want to create for 1 year, 3 year, 5 years out? And then how do you really build a mortgage success goal plan for 2025? We have a very simple formula. I do want you to take notes, take some pictures of slides if you'd like, because I want to help you create a really great plan for the future. So let's first of all start with here. This is where it all starts. In fact, I led a national training call a couple months ago with Nicole Ruth. And she's one of the nation's top producers. She was in my program last year. And Nicole said she believes that 60% of her success is mindset. So it really is where it starts. You've got to work on your own personal development first to be successful in the mortgage industry, because this is the deal. And all of us have this, right? What stories are you telling yourself that just aren't true? The loan officer I was talking to yesterday, 27 years in the business, running a branch, has 5 loan officers working for him. And you know, it's amazing to me, the stories he was telling himself about his fear in reaching out to a new realtor partner. And it's 27 years experience. It's amazing the fear that has crept in. In fact, candidly, if any of you on this call are the newbies, I'm experiencing my calls with loan officers that have been in the business 2 years or less are killing it because they haven't developed the fear. So I want you to really think about, what stories are you telling yourself? What, that realtors aren't interested in talking to you, that you don't have anything of value to offer, that they already have their lender wrapped up? But I'm telling you, in many instances, those stories are just not true. In fact, my client yesterday said to me in our call, and it amazed me, that he drove past from his house to his office a new small real estate company that had opened up. He drove past it every day for 30 days with the intention of calling her. And he talked himself out of it every day for the fear of the rejection, that she wouldn't be interested in talking to him. But he finally, 35 days in, got the guts to call her. And guess what happened? They met for lunch. He's already doing business with her. And he's so upset with himself that he waited 35 days to call her and to welcome her to the neighborhood. And this is what happens, right? We've got to get past the fear, because the reality, our own limiting beliefs are holding us back. I have the same fear. Look, I'm human too, right? And I do a lot of things that I'm fearful of. I have just trained my mind to do it anyway, because the reality is, if I don't have your business right now, I have absolutely nothing to lose. I mean, I always go like, what's the worst that's going to happen? If you call a realtor, this has happened to me before, and they hang up on you. Highly unlikely they're going to hang up on you. Possible they're going to tell you they're not interested in meeting with you. So what next, right? Like, you don't have their business now, you've got nothing to lose, but you have everything to gain, and you miss 100% of the shots you never take. So it's so important to really understand that. I love this slide. I have it in almost every presentation, because we all have the matches to burn down our own house. Like, all of us carry it around. And look, I'm not exempt from this either, but the reality is, we have to do our own work every single morning to get our mind right, so that we're telling ourselves a different story every day. We're telling ourselves a story of possibility. Because I have to tell you that, more so than not, if you start to reframe the fear into possibility, what if I called this agent and, gee, they just had a blowout, or maybe their lender just got out of the business. I had it happen when I went after the #1 producer in Manhattan Beach, California, where I live. And I was a little nervous to reach out. I reached out to this individual Swear on my life, every week for 2 years. I called him, I texted him, and I emailed him once a week for 2 years. And I just kind of made a game of it. I didn't take it so seriously, right? I didn't get in my own head about it. And he never responded, guess what? Until he did. And I got a text message 2 years later saying, I'll give you 15 minutes to have a conversation. I'll come to your office. True story. Sean walked into my office. He was there for 2 hours. I said, why now? He says, because the long-term lender that I've been working with took on a partner. He's kind of bowing out of the business. His partner is not delivering communication in the way that we need it for our clients. I've lost some faith. You've always been my number two. You just didn't know it because nobody has ever pursued me like you. We became very dear friends and won his business in a day because I didn't take it so seriously. I wasn't tied to the, he doesn't like me or he's not going to respond. I didn't have his business and I won it based on persistence. So I want you to really think about that. I'm a huge believer in this. Your beliefs become your thoughts. Like you should take a picture of this and memorize it because it's actually true. Your thoughts become your words, and the words you put out into the universe right now are terribly important. We don't want to talk about how bad the business is or how exhausted we are, or we've got to change our words that we're putting out into the world because your words become your actions. So if you're telling yourself a lot of negative things about you and the marketplace, guess what? Your actions are going to reflect it. Your actions become your daily habits. Your habits really become your values, and your values really determine your destiny. This is living proof. I've lived it firsthand. I know this to be true. So I want you to become aware of your thoughts. I have a very, very high level leadership coach that I work with. And one of the things my coach says to me, and I think about this when I'm on my walks in the morning, is notice what you're noticing. And that seems like such a crazy thing and such a simple thing, but notice what you're noticing. What are you thinking about? How are you beating yourself up on a day-to-day basis? Are you going home every night going, I should have done this, I should have done that? So pay attention to what you're actually really thinking about. Notice anything that comes up repeatedly on a negative basis. You got to notice it, write it down, and start to consciously reframe that story. Replace those thoughts, really conscious, be like, yeah, I really beat myself up over this today, or gosh, this has been a recurring conversation about I need to build my referral partnerships and something's been blocking me. I have so much fear around it. Acknowledge it, like pay attention to it, speak it out loud and give words to it, and then start to talk about what you can do to overcome that mindset. These are the things that I really do. And obviously, I'm not telling you anything you haven't heard before, but the reality is I protect my morning practice like nobody's business. And I couldn't do it as much when I had 3 little kids that I was raising. But at the end of the day, today, I set an alarm before I go to bed because left to my own devices, I'll stay up till 12:30 or 1 in the morning. I'm a late night girl. So this year I changed from setting my alarm from 10:30 at night to 10 o'clock to make sure I'm in bed by 10:30 because I want to get enough sleep so that when I get up, I can get up early and I can have an hour of my time, my mindset time. I start with gratitude each and every morning. I'm so grateful for my life. I'm so grateful for my family, my friends, my opportunity to serve other mortgage professionals. I exercise 3 times a week. I have a trainer 2 times a week because I don't like to exercise. So I had to hire a coach to keep me on track. I've had her in my life for 3 years and I never miss my training. That's just meaningful to me because health is everything. Without it, none of it matters. I educate myself. I love, Dave, you do such a great job of educating. I listen to a couple of years a week. I do believe in prayer. Really, it's a gratitude prayer that I do every morning, and I meditate every single day. And if you would have told a type A crazy mortgage professional that I'd learn how to meditate, I would have told you you're crazy. But I got introduced through Jack Canfield, who wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, to meditation. I now teach it to mortgage professionals, and it really can be life-changing because we have to give our minds downtime in order to be able to be more creative, be able to solve problems in a bigger way, and to be able to really tap into the resources that we're capable of creating, like even in building new relationship. But we have to be still once in a while to allow ourselves to be creative and innovative, which is what it takes. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I just wanted to mention this because I believe in this so wholeheartedly. We got to get our passion back. I am so passionate about this industry that it kind of oozes out of my pores. I can't help myself because I believe in what home ownership does for people. Persistence is everything, and I believe that it was so much of why I grew my business to 200 million in personal production. I was just persistent. Even today, my friends will say, "Oh yeah, Cindy doesn't take no for an answer." I have a phrase I use. If I get no for something I believe in, I believe I asked the wrong person or I asked the wrong question. Be persistent. Ask another way, ask somebody new to drive the results you really desire. Drive is huge, right? You can't make it up. You got to push yourself to drive sometimes when you don't feel like being driven. Take that next action. Commitment. Are you willing to take action and prioritize your goals? You can do a goal plan, but you got to show up to it. And no one's going to push you to be your best self. You are in charge of your future destiny. Vision, creating a vision. In fact, I find when I'm passionate about my vision, my fear drops to the back seat. So really develop your clear vision for your future. Where do you want to be in 1 year, 2 year, 5 year? What's your end game for all of this? And then courage. It takes courage, but developing a morning practice will help you adopt courage and confidence so you can go in confident and strong to build new partnership as the year ahead unfolds. So I want you to think about taking 100% responsibility. Focus on what you can control and influence. I want you to think about that. This is not just a header on a slide. This was one of my greatest leadership lessons, and I'm not going to take the time to give you 100 examples, which I could do, but I want you to focus on what you can control and influence. If it's out of your control, COVID, out of our control, right? High interest rates, out of our control. So you know how to focus on what you can do given life circumstances to create the outcome. I focus on outcome. I do not focus on the event. You can't change the event, but you can control how you respond to it to create the outcome you desire. So get clear on the outcome you want for 2025, and we'll back into the action steps. Avoid the negative news, and it's so awful. Just avoid it. I stopped watching the news in 2004. Guess what? I do get mortgage news, so I know what's going on in the market. Real news finds me. I'm on social media. I can't avoid it. But the reality is I don't seek it. And that helped me tremendously to stay in a positive mindset. Let go consciously. Make a decision that is a limiting belief. I'm going to reframe that story. It's just not true. Surround yourself with people who support you. I swear, I mean, my friends cannot be my friends unless they are supportive people. They can go through all the challenges they want, but at the end of the day, my friend group is strong and we support each other. We want each other to grow and elevate, and we empower one another. Dave, you're a perfect example of that. And then choose to respond versus react. How many times as mortgage originators do we react? Maybe we got a declination on a loan, or, something happens that just, we can't close, we don't get docs. There's so many things, but it's like how you respond really creates the outcome you desire. We've got to get intentional about that. So I'm not going to go through all these, but the reality is when we really take the time each and every day to carve out that morning time, have a morning practice, it just increases so many great things in our life. It makes us more resilient. It really helps our health and our confidence and our motivation and our drive. And it allows us to handle life's challenges just with so much greater ease. That client calls and leaves you to go to somebody for a better rate. You allow that to kind of roll off your back instead of staying with you and destroying your day. Because I believe that when we close the door, to negative thoughts, that we really open the opportunity for future success. The doors will open for you. I had a client tell me yesterday, he goes, "Cindy, I'm doing the work, I'm doing your exercises, and business has suddenly started flowing to me with not that much effort. I don't even know what I did." That's because he's changed his mindset around it. So let's talk a little bit about you creating the vision for your future. We're not going to go really deep on vision today because that's like a whole day exercise, but let's talk about a little bit. I just want to give you some food for thought about vision. So I want you to think about just having I don't know why part of my slide didn't load there. Sorry about that. But have a really well-defined vision, provide you with a sense of purpose and direction. That's what really we're trying to accomplish here, is to give you clear direction for your future. Your personal vision is really rooted like in your values. So I want you to think about right now, we're going to get into having a quick conversation about values. I think it's a really important part of our future is to think about your values and what is most important to you. And then we're going to talk about how your values really influence your daily action. So I want you, this would be great. Take a picture of this slide if you would. What initially inspired you to start your career in mortgage? Sometimes we have to get back to how did you get started in this business? What inspired you? If you're feeling out of sorts, what got you excited about this career in the first place? What aspect of your business brings you the most fulfillment? We want to know, we want to really tap into where do you find joy? And how do you define a fulfilled life? I have people saying to me constantly, one of my clients yesterday said, you know what? I'll fund 42 million this year, which obviously is a pretty good, he's in Central America, great job. But the reality is he's fearful to go to 60 or 80 million for fear that he'll have no life. I said, no, 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 we're not going to allow that to happen. We're going to teach you how to increase your production, have the right team so you can lead a fulfilled life. That's what we all really want. Money's great, but not at the lack of having no life. There's no point. And then how can you enhance the experience for people that you serve? And what difference do you want to make in the world? Homeownership changed my life. You're changing people's lives. You got to remind your team of the lives that you're changing. Stay committed to your vision and your passions around that. There's so much power in changing lives through real estate. I run into people weekly that go, oh my gosh, Cindy, you did my loan 27 years ago and you changed my life. That's what we do for a living. So I want you to think about your core values. Like, what is it that matters most to you? How can you better align your daily actions with your values? And then how are you sharing your core values in your business? Because a lot of times, I'll give you an example. So here's a list of many values, and there's hundreds. I have a full-blown value exercise, and there's hundreds of values. These are just a few. But the reality is, one of the things I see frequently in coaching is that you might put your family first, right? That your family is everything to you. But guess what? You're not home for dinner with your family. You don't spend time with your kids. You're on the phone all the time. You're shushing your kids because you're talking to your clients 24/7. You answer the phone all weekend long. You never have date night with your spouse. So do you really value family? Because if your actions are not aligned, if you don't get home and have dinner with your family, then your values are out of alignment. And I find that when we start to bring our daily actions in alignment with our values, everything starts to bloom. Everything becomes better, more fulfilling, and our business starts to thrive. So think about that for you. If we had time, I'd run you through a whole value exercise, but write down a couple things that are most important to you and do your daily actions reflect that. You know, I think it's terribly important. There's another study done that if you don't value success or wealth or abundance, you're probably not going to be a top producer. And I think that valuing success, because I look at the more money I make, the more successful I am, the more people I can help. So I look at it as a really good thing. I think it's a great thing, as a matter of fact. So I want you to think about that for you. And then usually we'll have people create a vision statement, right? And this is just something that I put together that our vision is to transform the mortgage industry by delivering unparalleled service, leveraging innovative technology, and fostering strategic partnerships. We're committed to setting the benchmark for excellence, empowering clients with creative solutions, and creating a lasting legacy of trust, financial literacy, and sustainable growth. That was a vision statement for me. But what is it for you? And give some thought to what kind of vision you really want to create. I'm a big visionary. I like going for the stars. I want to create something meaningful in my life, in my business. And I do believe that real change really happens when the pain of staying the same is just, greater than the pain of change. And I love change because change for me now is growth. And I've seen the effects of what happens when I step into the unknown and I do something that scares me, and just the growth that comes from that, the opportunities that come from that. So let's jump into goal planning. I'm very passionate about this topic. And I work very closely with my clients to help them not only create their goal plan, but to go through it with them, to really challenge their goal plan a little bit, to get you to think bigger. Because frequently we won't, we will not establish bigger goals than we feel we can accomplish, right? Because sometimes we don't know how we would do it. But I don't buy that. I think the how shows up. We've just got to state the intention. I have 1,000 examples of things in my life where I've stated intention outside my reality of how I was going to get there. and magic actually occurred to help me find ways to create that particular goal with intent. It's pretty cool what can happen when we get outside ourselves and we just start to think a little bit bigger. So there's a lot of studies done around the impact that goals actually make. Harvard did a study that really reflected this. And really at the end of the day, you know, when they studied the class, those that not only wrote down their goals, but created the plan and spoke their goals out loud earned 10 times the money. Think about that. I mean, most of you have goals in your head. Some of you, I'm sure, have already done a goal plan for next year, so good on you. But the reality is, there's statistical evidence, and I'm a huge believer in not just writing them down. You need to share them. It's terribly important you speak your goals out loud to another human, because what that does is it gets energy flowing, and energy is what it's all about. Everything is energy. Our relationships are energy, and we want to speak it out, and we want to have some accountability to it. So I want you to think about this. I really believe, and we want you to think, I like to begin with the end in mind. What kind of outcome do you really want for your life? If you get to the end of this beautiful life and you're looking back, what do you want to have actually created? What do you want to be remembered for? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? I mean, it's not just about being in the here and now. What do you really want to create? Because when we think about what kind of outcome, what kind of life do we want to have left for our children and our families and our teammates, it'll help you back into the shifts that you need to make. Maybe where some of your gaps are right now. Because look, we each have at birth, based on the average age span, about 30,000 mornings that we get to enjoy. And at age 54, I mean, we've dropped a little bit now on the average age of a mortgage professional, but this is still close to the average age. We have about 10,000 mornings remaining. And I don't know about you, but I want my mornings to count. I don't want to check off a day and have lost a day of productivity and making a difference and being my best self. I want every single morning that I have left on this earth to count. And I lead my day and my business with great intention. So I want you to just think about, where do you want to be in a year from now? If you're living in self-doubt, you're living in lack of confidence, you're not making the calls, you're not managing your database, you've got a lot of gaps in your business and a lot of fear that's holding you back. Where do you want to be a year from now? Do you want to be over that hump? Do you want to be leaning in fully? Do you want to have a full pipeline? Do you want to be serving more people, making a bigger difference in the world, making the money that you know you deserve and desire? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? How old will you be when you add 10 years to your age, or 20 years? It's also empowering to do this with the age of your children and add 10 years to your children's age, and think about that. Like, time goes by very quickly. And I have the big belief that if there's a change we need to make, if we don't take action today, we'll be in exactly the same place 10 years from now. So we know that many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. How many times do you go down a path, right? You're trying a new strategy and it just didn't work for you. And so you go try a different strategy. How many balls do you have in the air? There's a lot of amazing tools, right, in the mortgage industry. Mortgage Coach being one of them, being one of the best tools I ever used. But the reality is, we've got to stick with things, and because so many times people give up too quickly and they're right on the verge of success. So I want you to think about quickly here. This is a mortgage satisfaction assessment that's part of my goal plan. And I think it's just a great exercise. Just write down a score. 0 being you are not satisfied in this category, and 10 being you are off the chart satisfied. But I really recommend people do an assessment, every 3 to 6 months in their business to really evaluate where you are, because it changes based on the market, right? So are you satisfied with the number of referral partners that you're working with these days? Most people in 2024, the answer is no, because so many realtors left the business. There's not as much business. Most of us have need to double our referral partnerships. And developing referral partners is one of my special gifts. It's why I built my business to 200 million. I teach great strategies around how to provide value and develop those relationships. And then your personal production levels. Are you happy with them? I must say, many people unequivocally know, but there is a very big dichotomy going on in, the mortgage industry right now, because there are originators right now today having the best months of their entire career. I have many examples of clients that we're coaching that are having the best months of their career because they've taken the steps when everybody else shut down and is in fear zone. They're going in with both barrels, no fear whatsoever, and they're taking market share away from others in the industry. And they're having amazing success because the world needs you guys right now in a big way. Rate your compelling client experience. You all have one. Is it compelling? Are you asking for 5-star reviews? Are you getting 5-star reviews? Do you have a client experience, or is it not really mapped out? You're not really clear, because that's one of the things that we teach. But really score yourself. What kind of client experience and realtor experience are they experiencing and working with you and your team? Marketing execution. We need to market ourselves in a big way right now. We need to expand our reach. I love teaching marketing strategy and helping people build their annual marketing calendar to make marketing simple. Marketing is so big. It includes, database marketing. It includes email marketing. It includes, building referral partnership marketing. It does, social media. There's so many aspects. Our past client database is such a big part of marketing. Are we tapping into that right now? When I turned my business over to my partner, I had 4,500 past clients that I closed loans for. And every year I got 20 to 30% of my income off my past client database. And it's such a big gap for so many mortgage professionals right now. So score yourself on, do you have a marketing plan, and are you executing to the plan? And what about your time, energy, and productivity? Are you busy? But how productive are you? Are you time blocking every day to work on your business, meaning you're building relationships, you're setting meetings to get in front of new people, you're focused on income and relational activities each and every day? If you're not, we got to make a shift. We've got to get you more intentional about your business if you really want to grow. And then, do you have a high impact team? Many of you probably lost teams or don't have a team because production's down. The reality is, we want to get you to a level of production where you need at least one designated LOA to get you out of your files. Because if we can get you out of your files, focused on income and relational activities, we can help you double your business and double your revenue. And that's a big goal of mine. And good self-care. Are you taking care of yourself? It's usually the first thing to go right out the window. Think about one shift that you want to make right now in terms of your own health. I've got several friends, Dave, I know you do too, that are struggling really for their life with major health challenges right now. In an instant, our health can be taken away. So, Dave, I know you've gotten super proactive about your health. I'm getting super proactive about my health. So, think about your healthcare. Like, what are you doing to take care of you first? Get serious about taking care of you and think about a couple of things that you want to do this year to make a difference in your own health. And then let's talk about contribution. This is kind of the whole concept with FirstHome IQ. What is the contribution you're making in the world? What's the impact you want to make? I'm intentional about this. And I think sometimes we're so caught up in our own life that we're not really intentional about giving back. I have 3 charities that I'm passionate about supporting each and every year. And several years ago, I reached out to one of them who's local here in Southern California that supports abused women and children. And I offered to offer free coaching services. I wanted to make a greater impact in that organization and to help them with their mission. So think about how you want to contribute. Maybe you want to contribute to your local community. Maybe you really want to get involved in FirstHome IQ and make a greater contribution around financial literacy. It's the skill you already have, right? So it's a really big thing to think about how you want to contribute in a bigger way.
Hey, real quick, Cindy, could I jump in? Could you go back to that
100%.
one real quick? So, so I have found in the most elite people that I have interviewed, one of the things that really differentiates them is how they assess. And not only do they do it annually, they do it quarterly. They do it humbly. I've met some really successful people that are like level 10. I'm like, really? You're level 10? Do your results support that level? So I would push people to, do what Cindy did in these things, and then ask yourself, and do my results match up with how I'm scoring myself? Also, you said something that I have found to be so true this year, and I think I continue to see it happen between the haves and the have-nots in mortgage. There are people really killing it. Like the formula to win in the mortgage industry, it's never been more clear. So I also want you guys to assess around the modern mortgage IQ. I'm going to put a link. These are like 8 absolute must-have pillars, but there's pillars like technology. Where are you at from a modern technology standpoint? Pillars like modern sales, modern marketing. So I put a link. It's free to anyone to go through this assessment. It takes about 5 minutes. So make sure you check it out. But this assessment process that Cindy did, super, super important. And then I would just add, also look at your skill set. Are you traditional, old school? Are you modern? And wherever you're not at the level you want to be, like prioritize that. Okay, what am I going to tackle this month? So just wanted to throw it out there.
Well, and it's such a great point, Dave, because the reality is like I've always been an early adopter of technology because I love it. And it's like we were so efficient, like with my database, which is I think led so much to my success level. And the CRMs of today, database management systems of today, with all the ability to be able to notify you and to be able to automate things that took so long to deliver, as a human, it's just so amazing what can be created today in terms of utilization of technology. And it's instead of fearing it, just look at it as fun. And so I do believe that we should be spending an hour or two a week really playing with new technologies and teaching ourselves. I'm involved in 3 online classes right now, and I usually spend a couple hours every Saturday morning taking a class of something that I want to learn, and it makes it fun. And it's fun because then you can go teach it to your referral partners, right? I've taken 2 classes on Chat GPT. And so what I can do with that today and to be able to teach other people is really extraordinary. So anything you learn, it's a great thing to be able to teach, right? So let's jump in. I want you to really get intentional about what are your first quarter projections? I mean, let's just look at, and then I want you to think about what you want your business goals to be for 2025. I want you to put pen to paper around this, right? So what do you really want your first quarter to look at? Because this is a 90-day goal plan that we do, which I prefer. I created my 90-day goal plan for myself because I really believe that our market changes and sometimes our desires change and our goals change. But I love 90-day goals because they're short. We create implementable action steps that we can actually help us achieve the goal, and we can measure it much more effectively. So I want you to get clear on how many families do you really want to serve? This gentleman I talked to yesterday, he's been doing like 4 loans a month. And he goes, I want to get back to 10 loans a month without question consistently. So he was very clear what he wants to create. So get clear what that is for you, because it'll start to help you, with getting more intentional about your practices. And then what do you want 2025? How many families do you want to serve next year? Get clear on your income goal and get clear on your production goal. Get clear on the families that you want to serve. And then I want you to think about, this is a big one, and I want you to be honest about, where's your business gap? We all have gaps in our business. And it's one of the things that we work to fill in coaching. We want to identify, is your gap that you really need to build referral partners and you've got a lot of fear around it and you don't really know how anymore? You got behind a computer screen during COVID, and now how do we create value? One of my clients yesterday, he goes, look, I'm 57 years old. Am I just too old to go build new referral partners? I'm like, are you crazy? Of course not. But you need some new tools in your tool chest. So think about where your gaps are in your business. Do you have a strong lead management system? Are you marketing to your past client database? Are you using a CRM? If not, put that down as a gap. That should be your number one goal. And I always say, if you don't know how to use your company system, go learn how to use it. Take a Saturday morning and go teach yourself how to use it. Take your training classes or go get your own. If you don't know what CRM, email us at info@cindyrtman.com and I'll send you our CRM guide. So there's many different great CRMs, but you just need one that you'll actually use. But think about what gaps you need to fill in your business. So these are some of the areas, obviously, as part of the goal plan. They kind of align with the assessment. What we're going to focus on is just thinking about your career and your work, your health and your wellness, your family and your relationships, your personal growth, and your contribution. Because at the end of the day, we coach the whole person. Just focusing on your business is not viable. We need to really look at all the different areas of your life, and we need to elevate you across the board, because that creates a healthy business plan, and a healthy human. So I want you to think about this in each of these categories. Really, the goal here is to create 3 stretch goals for yourself over the course of the next 90 days. So if we're looking at Q1 for 2025, I want you to stretch yourself. And like, as I said, if you're not using a database management program and you do not have any ability to communicate with your past clients and you've been in business for a bit, I strongly suggest that you do that as number one. Get yourself committed to a CRM and database management plan, because that got drilled into my head my first 2 years in the mortgage industry. And I fought it, honestly. I didn't really want to do it. I remember hiring a college student for 15 hours a week to come in and help me create it and input the data and get it set up. I didn't hire a full-time person to do it. I let somebody else do it. And at the end of the day, it was the single biggest thing I did for my career. That, and I marketed to it religiously for over 30 years. Religiously. It was part of my marketing plan. I had a system around it, and I showed up for it every single month. And it was such a big part of my success, because guess what? Those clients want to hear from you. And you really owe them that. If you're doing their loan and you become their mortgage professional, the reality is, we're here with them for life to help advise them around their mortgages and their financial future. And this is important. So think about what those stretch goals are going to be. If you need to build new referral partnerships, great. How many and by when? And then we get into the action steps. So I'm going to go to the next slide here. So let's look at maybe a sample goal is you want to increase your production by 20% next year. Many of you, that's going to be pretty easy if you do the work, because I think the market's going to play in your favor. And if we could switch some of your daily habits and get you focused on the right activities, we can increase. On average, we increase our clients by about 30%. But then you've got to block out time. You've got to have an action step to work on income producing activities. You have to have a plan for what your daily activities are going to look like to increase that production, because we've got to increase your referral partners. We've got to increase your conversion rate. We've got to track your loans and what you're actually doing, your lead conversion. You want to expand your referral partnerships? Great. How are we going to do that? Think about one thing you can do. I've got many strategies for building referral partnership. Elevate your presence on social media. Got a lot of strategies around that. It's not hard to do as long as you have a plan. We can teach you to do it very, very simply. You can hire a social media coach or a company or a consultant. But the reality is we can help you build a very basic plan. Solidify your position as an expert in the industry. If you've been in this industry, determine your niche. What is your niche? What are you an expert at? Start calling yourself an expert and solidify that. Make a commitment that I'm going to make sure everybody knows that I'm a reverse mortgage expert, or I'm a VA specialist. Like, what is your niche? What does your company offer? And what are you known for? Now let's start to put expert language and push that out through social media. And then shift focus time to growing your business. What does that really look like for you? Maybe you need to hire an LOA. Well, we've got great hiring strategies for how to do that, how to determine how you want to build and grow your team, because we want to get you focused on income and relational activities and growth, because that's what creates a successful long-term career in the mortgage industry. And then I want you to think about your health, and I want you to get serious about this. Come up with 3 things. You could probably write down 3 things right now that you want to commit to. I have a client right now. He's actually a leader that I'm coaching. I've been coaching him for about 4 months. And the transformation, he got clear on his business goals and he started implementing his business goals over the last 3 months, which has been incredible. He's been very successful at creating his business plan and the implementation. And he's already seeing results 4 months into coaching, which is what we hope, right? But the reality is the next thing he did is he created the health plan. He wrote down the 3 things and he created the action steps, but he hadn't implemented one of them. So on one of my coaching calls 2 months ago with him, I said, tell me how you're doing on your health goals. And we talked through them and he started laughing. He had not actually applied any of his time, energy, or effort to his health plan. I said, so clearly it's not that important to you. He goes, no, actually, Cindy, it's really important to me. And I said, then let's talk about what you're going to do to actually implement these goals. And let's start to have you create some accountability. Let's have you make some commitments. And we did. This man put in his plan that he wanted to lose 15 pounds. It is 55 days later, and he has now lost 35 pounds. And he is working out 3 times a week. He has changed what he eats. He is counting all of his calories on an app. He's given up alcohol. And one of his bosses called me this morning and said that his whole life has changed. And because he's accountable to his goals now, his health has changed for sure because he decided to do the work and not to put, he wanted to really execute on his action plan. And I'll tell you, it is so fun to watch someone go through that kind of personal transformation. So whatever it is for you, and I'm just going to, you can take a picture of the slide if you want. If you're not sure what your health goals are, maybe it is, are you getting enough sleep? Maybe you need to change your eating habits. Maybe you need to cut back on drinking. Maybe you're lazy and you're not working out. You're not doing anything to move your body. Maybe you're not focused on mindset and you've got a really bad mindset about what's gone on in the market. So whatever it is for you, do something to elevate your health and stay committed to a health practice. The older we get, we realize like, I want to be healthy. I want to lead a great life. And I just want it, but you got to be intentional. We've got to be intentional with how we manage our health. And then let's get into talking about family and relationships. We talked about values, right? Are your actions aligned with your relationships? At the end of the day, I think, for me personally, my family, my 3 children, my brothers, my sisters, I'm really blessed to have an incredible family. And I have amazing intentional friendships. And I stay connected with people that I love in my life. And I'm intentional about that. But maybe for you, I was coaching someone recently who was estranged from his father for the last 10 years. And that was really eating at him because his dad's getting older and he had not addressed it. And I said, if he were to die, how you feel about that? He goes, I would be devastated. So he is working now on trying to rebuild a relationship with the father that he's been estranged from. And that's a really important goal for him. Maybe you really need one of my clients a couple years ago. I'm not going to mention his name. He's a very big mortgage leader and I'm so proud of him, but he was working so much. He has 4 children and he wasn't paying time and attention to his wife or his children. It was always about work. And he got really clear that he needed to focus on not just spending time with his children, but he got intentional about spending time with each child individually. And now I get to witness that and what he's created in terms of his family and his date night with his wife, every week. So he got very intentional and really changed his family dynamic. And his wife and children really noticed, and he's present with them now. So think about what that is for you, because I believe that career is great, health is amazing, but our family and our relationships is so much of our joy in life. And so again, if you're not sure, here's some things that you can think about adding into your family and relationships and being intentional. I think a lot of people got away from really reaching out and being intentional with friendships and family during COVID. And we really want to nurture the people that are most important. And maybe you need to up-level your friendships. Maybe the ones that are with you are not serving you and lifting you up to be your best self. And then I want you to think about your own personal growth. Like Dave was talking about, like, how do you really want to grow? What is it that you want to learn? What's one thing that you can do? I'm a growth junkie. I admit it. Like I read a ton. I'm constantly learning. I go to Dave's channel on Trust Engine. I'm just constantly learning. I'm a big student of personal development. I learned from a lot of different leaders. I went through a training in 2009 running $1 billion branch and being a $150 million a year producer. And, I signed up for a year-long training program with Jack Canfield in personal development. And that training changed my life. And it's done a lot to propel my mortgage career. So think about what is it that you really want to learn and make a commitment to yourself. How do you want to grow? Maybe you're really not that technological, and it's time that you learn how to use Mortgage Coach. Take the time. It'll change. It's a differentiator. So think about, get intentional on a couple of different areas that you want to grow in terms of personally. I think we've got to have some personal growth that makes us much more interesting people than just being focused on work. So maybe you want to learn another language, or maybe you want to learn an instrument, or you want to do something in terms of an extracurricular activity. I just took pickleball lessons because everybody said it's such the rage, and I wanted to get outside my own comfort zone. So I like trying new things. And then I want you to really think about contribution. What are you willing to commit to? Maybe you're not been intentional about that. Maybe you used to be really involved with faith and that's kind of gotten away from you. You want to recommit to that. You want to recommit to your faith. Maybe you want to get intentional about recommitting to your community. I think it's important to pour into something within our own local communities. Maybe there's a charitable organization, or I think, this one is a really, really amazing one in terms of getting involved with this amazing company that is helping financial literacy in the world today. So pick something that resonates with you, but I really believe the contribution is part of our just something that we need to commit to as a human. I just believe that there's so much opportunity in what we do that we've got to be intentional at how we give back and bring others up along the way. Okay, so here's many ideas of ways that you can contribute in a bigger way. And sometimes it's money and writing the check, and sometimes it's contribution of time, energy, to really help and mentor and serve others and share your greatest gifts for those of you that have been in the business a long time. And then we want you to have accountability. That's key, right? You've got to find an accountability partner to share your goals with. It could be a realtor partner, it could be a loan officer in your office, it could be a family member, it could be a friend, but write down your goals, come up with your action steps and share it and be accountable. Having somebody that you can meet with every couple of weeks to talk about your goals and keep each other on track is hugely important. It's why I have a physical fitness trainer to keep me on track with my health goals. And I just wanted to share Tom Couture. He called me several years ago. I think it was 2019. He'd been in the business 42 years and he called himself an old dog. He goes, God, Cindy, I can't break 38 million no matter what I do. I've tried. I know I got 100 million in me, but he goes, at the end of the day, I need new tools in my toolbox. So he joined our coaching program. He did the work. He implemented the tools. He built new relationships. His first year in my program, he went from 38 to 58 million. The second year of my program, granted, it was 2020. It helped a lot, but there was no doubt that what he created and moved him from 58 to 132 million. The beautiful thing is he served 579 families that year. And that is a lot of families to transform. So hats off to Tom. He is one of our brilliant coaches for the Defining Difference team. And I just really am amazed at what he's created. So what if you could 12 months from now, you really had that, bulletproof mindset and you felt like you were on top of the world and you could really build those referral partners and you were confident in your business and you had developed the systems to really scale. We developed the systems, it's easier to scale and it's a replicatable system. You could build a strategic marketing plan and now you're just executing to the plan. It makes your life so much easier, and that you could deploy a powerful lead generation strategy to make sure that your pipeline is filled on a monthly basis. That's what we want to help you achieve. And Dave, as you know, my dear friend, Michelle Town, I have coached Michelle for 10 years. She's one of the ones that's just having mad success right now. She just had the best month in her entire mortgage career. She'll probably be on track to close about 200 million this year. So just so proud of her. And she does it all in a virtual environment. So she's an incredible testament to what's possible when you create the systems, you create the process. She's a huge mortgage coach fan and she's a great implementer and is really one of the best in the industry. But she's just like you and me, right? She just did it one step at a time. So I believe the best investment you can ever make is the investment you make in yourself. It's just true, right? We've got to feed our own soul. No one else is going to pour into us. We've got to pour into ourselves. And the best way to build and grow our business is to take action and get some accountability, which is why I'm such a big believer. I think every mortgage originator in America right now needs a coach. It doesn't have to be Cindy Ertman, but I would really encourage you to seek some kind of coaching. I'm going to offer, we've got a discount going for you guys right now. All you have to do is mention FirstHome IQ. You just have to book the strategy call with my high performance team. It's a real coaching call. It's not just a sales call. We want to help you with your biggest challenges. We want to talk through where you're feeling stuck. And we do have a new program that we're launching right now. It's an all group program, Millionaire Mortgage Club, which is launching January 9th at a very affordable budget. The first 50 people that join, it's going to be $197 into perpetuity. And I ran this program for 3.5 years. We shut it down a year ago so I could launch another program. We had a lot of people wanting us to bring it back, so we're bringing it back. But schedule a call, have a conversation. Let's talk through what your challenges are and how we could help you. Really go into 2025 with a plan. We want to see you succeed. And I believe with all my heart that we've got such an amazing opportunity. And I just want you to get into the mindset that you deserve the success that you desire. And we want to help you get there. And putting together a great financial and business plan is one way to get started. So I appreciate having the opportunity to be with all today. And hopefully that gave you some ideas to think about.
Thank you so much, Cindy. This was so incredibly valuable. And Katie and I were chatting on the side. We can't wait to share these insights with our ambassadors and just really appreciate you taking the time and sharing so much with us today. So.
Absolutely. And if I can help in any way, if you guys have questions, our email address is info@cindyertman.com. Reach out. I monitor that inbox as well. We're here to help you and we really want you to succeed in the year ahead. Don't get discouraged. There's a lot of possibility and we're seeing such huge success with some of our clients. So we want to make sure we help you get there too. So thank you all.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody.